In this exploration, I'm going to talk about how geologists define rock faces in terms of their orientation, and this will lead into a discussion of how geologists talk about different types of faults in the Earth. So to get you oriented here, I've made a little 3D model, and we've got this slope here. And to get you oriented, for example, note that the north is in that direction. So we've got a north arrow here showing orientation. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the strike of this slope. And the strike is the direction along which you could walk without going up or down hill. So it's sort of a lazy geologist thing to name. It's the easiest direction to walk. You don't have to go up or down. So that's the strike right there. And notice this fault we would say, or this surface we would say is striking north-south because it's going from the north to the south. Now the reason geologists care so much about strike is because when a feature intersects the land surface, often the trace is parallel to that strike. So if the land surface is flat, the trace of a fault or an outcrop will be parallel to the strike. If the land surface is bumpy, it gets a little bit more difficult, but that's an added complication. So the second important concept is this dip angle, and the dip angle is just the angle of the slope relative to the horizontal. And in this case, I happen to know that this is a 45-degree dip angle. So if we were talking about this feature, we would say that this is a feature striking north-south with a dip angle of 45 degrees, and that completely defines this feature. Now, if you don't find the concept of strike incredibly intuitive, you're not the only one, and that's why I'm turning on this other definition here, which is called the dip direction. So the dip direction is the direction you can think that water would flow, or the steepest direction downhill. If you rolled a ball on this slope, it would go down the dip direction. So that's the direction of the steepest slope. And again, we have the dip angle as well. So if we wanted to define this feature in a different way, we could talk about how it has a dip direction to the east and a dip angle of 45 degrees. And if we do that, then we don't even really need this concept of strike. We can just take that away. Although it's a useful term because it comes into a lot of other geological definitions. So that's how geologists talk about slopes and rock features, and next we'll look at how geologists define faults.